So good afternoon, all. While we give some minutes to let everybody in that register for this webinar today, I will start welcoming you all. And today with a very special guest. Rita Oliveira Pelica is now member of our Chamber of Commerce, taking the opportunity with our active campaign of Business Allies, where we wish to invite our businesswomen, our entrepreneurs, our intrapreneurs, and future entrepreneurs to join us for a year with no costs. So we also know about what are you doing, how are you promoting the economy in Portugal, in the Netherlands, in the world. So thank you so much, Rita, to take the time to generate also what is content that will be available in our YouTube channel. It's very important. We know that we cannot have everybody online when they wish. So we do gather all this beautiful knowledge to put to your service, and hopefully you can take good use of it. But better than anybody to talk about herself is it's Rita. And I would like also to congratulate on you, her company, that is celebrating a milestone. And that is very important to understand that success is a marathon. So Rita, congratulations for one more year of your amazing project, of your company. It's very special for us also to have in this time of the year that you took the time to be with us. And without further ado, Rita, the floor is yours. And thank you once again for being with us.
Okay, so welcome all. So I'm really glad to be here with you today. It's a privilege. I have my dog in here. Can you give me just 1 second? So, oh God.
No worries. No worries. This is also.
Sorry. Yeah, he wants to assist to the workshop. Sorry. 30 seconds.
At this point in time, it's safe to say that animals and children are most welcome in online content.
In your house, it's not in mine for now. 1 second. Sorry for that.
No worries. And as we wait for Rita, this is also what we have when we work, of course, with all this beautiful freedom of online, but that we have these situations that sometimes we cannot control as we wish. So no problem whatsoever. Rita, for sure you solved already this. And so, also no worries. And also not to distract, of course, our people. We will switch off our own cameras and we will switch off our mics. So the floor is totally yours.
Thank you for this. And that's what we do as entrepreneurs. So we solve problems. That's what I was doing. So really an honor to be here with you, specifically talking about one of my favorite topics, intrapreneurship, which is, by the way, the topic of my PhD thesis. So I really take this topic really, really seriously. And I'm really happy to be here with you to share some of the knowledge. And I really hope that this can be great for you to use in your daily life. So let me start sharing the information that I've prepared for you. So the topic today, it's about creative talent and why we need creative talent in our organizations these days. And specifically, we are going to understand what is, in fact, the power of intrapreneurs. And we will start by understanding what is an intrapreneur. Marisa was telling you that I'm the founder of ONU, and we are really focused on learning experiences that are really important for people, so that can be relevant. And I am also, for Portugal, the Portuguese catalyst for the League of Intrapreneurs. So I strongly advise you to visit the League of Intrapreneurs website if you want to learn a little bit more about this, because it's just an association with resources, free resources that you all can use and might be useful for your life. So ready for takeoff. So we need to start and understand why we are here. So the motivation for doing this workshop is in fact to bring you this topic, which is not something that is being taken care in the organizations as the entrepreneurship. So I think it's time for us to understand in our companies that entrepreneurship can make a real difference in people's life and in the culture of the organization. So this idea of continuously be doing the business as usual, some of us might have understand that it's not working. And if it's not working, it means that we need to change the needle to something else, to something different. Well, we can call it business not as usual. We can call it this idea of thinking outside of the box, which is something that companies these days are really eager to get their people to thinking outside of the box. And this really means that we need to find new ways, new solutions, new approaches for the problems that we are facing. And that's where I really believe that creativity specifically gains a special importance, because if you understand that the World Economic Forum has established the top 10 skills for 2025, and here we are, this is 2024, creativity, originality, and initiative, which are things that we can really and directly relate with entrepreneurship, they are here in the center, let's say, in the heart of these skills. And the good news is that we can really work upon them. So I think this is good news. There are bad news and good news. The bad news is that the usual ways, the old routines are not working. But the good news is that with the good people, the good talent, creative people being original and having this initiative might be something that companies can really use in order to solve or to approach these problems. And that's why companies these days really need to pivot. They need to pivot, they need to explore, they need to understand that there are different possibilities, that they can find different alternatives. The things that explained our success in the past might not explain or help us having success in the future. So pivoting, reinventing, and this is not just a fancy word, reinvention. So we really need to find some color, let's say, find some freshness, even in the things that we are so familiar with. We need to bring fresh eyes. We need to bring something. Sometimes you don't even know what is it, but we need to find new ways of doing things. This idea of design and redesigning, finding new formats is really interesting in the way that we approach businesses these days. So we need to think about a more agile business, a more human-centric business, and for that, we still need people. Of course, these days, we are discussing a lot about AI, but at the end of the day, I really believe, and I truly believe that we really need people, and we need people at their best. So rethinking the business means that we really need to have space, the space and the time to be mentally available to think about these topics. So just saying that it's not working, or that we can't recruit people these days, or that we can't have people with us that are really committed, that is not an option. We really need to think about strategies. I really think that companies these days need to be strategic in order to find the right people to be at their best version to do the jobs. And that's where we can really understand that this entrepreneurship concept fits. So if we can take a look into this map, all this mapping, we can understand that we have in here different approaches. Maybe the most well-known for most of us that are living in the corporate world is in fact this entrepreneurship, this beauty of having a company, creating a company, funding a company. It's really exciting, but it's just one of the parts of the puzzle that can be done. So life is not just about taking new ventures. And in fact, if you think about the lots of countries, they have a lot of companies, the small and medium businesses already installed. So we really need to think about, what about the existing organizations? Can they be more entrepreneurial? And can they really use entrepreneurship as a tool, as a strategy in order to get better or more results? So we can say that at this organizational level, we can think about this entrepreneurial orientation, and we can think about this top-down approach, or we can call it also the corporate entrepreneurship. But when we are thinking about intrapreneurship, we are specifically thinking about an approach that comes up through the individual. So intrapreneurship is something that really arises from bottom up. In here, you will see a simpler framework, let's say. So when you think about entrepreneurship in the corporate world, we need to understand that we need to have two faces. On one hand, we can understand that intrapreneurship is something that comes from the individual. It's when the individual can act because he wants to. It's something that he does in a voluntary way. So I'm an intrapreneur because I want. So this approach comes from the bottom. It's a bottom-up approach, and it's translated in several behaviors that the employees can have in doing their jobs, or better said, by doing the extra mile in the work that they are doing. On the other hand, of course, we can't forget that people work in organizations, and that organizations have something called culture. And this culture, that all the things that we see, that we live, that we understand, that we feel, that come from the top, not only from the boards, but from the managers, from the leadership, the things that come from the top down, we call it the corporate entrepreneurship. And it is about creating a safe space, a safe place, and promoting the conditions in which the employees can really be themselves at their best. So we need to have the people, and we need to have the conditions. So talent, of course, and then finding the space for people so they can understand that they are welcome, that they are supported for the organization. So we can understand that we can really make in here a good fit. So when I'm referring to intrapreneurship at this point and during the presentation, let me remember you that we are assuming that intrapreneurship is something that comes from the bottom. It's a bottom-up approach. And this term was coined by Gifford Pinchot III, a Canadian man, that coined the term in 1985. So intrapreneur is someone who acts like an intrapreneur, but inside a company. Can you imagine this? And this is in fact beautiful, understanding that we can have the freedom, that you can have the resources in our company, in our team to deliver and to be more productive. And this makes, in fact, a lot of sense. But let me ask you, Bill, why don't we talk about it? So why is not this topic in the human resources or in the company's agendas? Because we talk a lot about entrepreneurship, but intrapreneurship is not sexy. It's not sexy, and I can tell you that it's not even known sometimes, and I don't know if you have this, this sensibility, when we talk about intrapreneurship, at least in here in Portugal, sometimes people think that, oh, Rita, you are not telling the right word. So it's it's not intrapreneurship, it's entrepreneurship. Well, I know, but the intrapreneur is the entrepreneur inside the company. So these are the dreamers who do in a firm, inside a business that is not owned by them. But in fact, this is not selling, you know. So what sells is entrepreneurship. It's all this ecosystem, the entrepreneurial ecosystem. They're selling a lot of magazines, all the Jeff Bezos, all of these guys that you know. But for most of us who are working inside the company, sometimes we tend to be forgotten. And sometimes we might be assuming that we are not even recognized for the work that we are doing. And I strongly believe there is time for us, for me, and for you to do something different about this. So we need to change the perspective. We need to change this narrative. And specifically, because if we understand, they have their own differences, of course, but we can have so many similarities between the entrepreneurs and the intrapreneurs. And when we are talking about talent, of course, we need to talk about skills development, this capacity building. And like you can see here in this image, leadership. Leadership is one of the most important things these days, not just leading others, but specifically in starting with ourselves. So the ability to lead ourselves, and then we can lead others, our teams, of course, in a company, being adaptable, understanding that things are changing. Change is one of the constants that we have all of these days, and companies are eager to innovate. So having this creative talent, aka intrapreneurs, is a way for companies to can get this innovation. So by being innovative, having innovative and creative talent, the companies, they can really get innovation as an outcome. And then, of course, we need to understand that we need to persist. We need to be resilient. These days, we talk a lot about this emotional intelligence, of course, because these dreamers who do in a company, we have a lot of stress, right? So we need to deal with our own emotions. We need to deal with the others' emotions. So we need to understand that sometimes things are not going so fast as we would like. Things are not changing the way we would like them to change. So we really need to keep on going and keep on moving into this entrepreneurial journey inside our company. Some other idea that I'd like to share with you is that you can't find a director of entrepreneurship in companies. Like the opposite, you might find some innovation directors. But if you're paying attention since the beginning, we can understand that entrepreneurship is not a position. Entrepreneurship is so much more an attitude. It's not a department. Entrepreneurship is a collective responsibility. We can't have just one or two or three people doing entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship is in fact so much more than that. So it's an attitude that is translated into a behavior. So entrepreneurship is something that people do by doing their job, but going beyond what is defined in their job definition. So let me give you this a little bit more of a content, interesting content, what we call the 5 I's of entrepreneurship. So we will find a lot of I's in here, let's say it this way. But in fact, this idea that what do we need to have, or what are the circumstances in which we can really get this entrepreneurial behavior? Well, let's say that we need to have these 5 things, these 5 I's. So information, data, we talk a lot of data and big data. Of course, we need to have a reason why, a data-driven approach in which will help us to explain why we need to do that. Why do we have that intention? Let me get this second I, the intention. Why do we have an intention to do something? Why do we want to achieve a purpose and a result? We can't just have imagination. So imagination might be, I don't know, maybe one of the first in here, if not the first. We need to have imagination because we understand that we are having a problem, we are dealing with a challenge. So we put our imagination working. And when we put our imagination into practice, we get creativity, okay? So from imagination to creativity. And when we can mingle this, we can really have an intention to do something. So entrepreneurship is something that you do, well, with a little bit of intuition, another I, of course, but it's something that you do on purpose. We need to find our reason why. Why are we doing the things that we are doing for ourselves, for our job, for our department, for our business area, for our company? So we can collect a lot of data, a lot of information, so we can put it in the format of a project, let's say, and then we need to implement it. So entrepreneurship is related with doing. So it's not about having ideas. Of course, having ideas is one of the, I would say, one of the most exciting parts of the process, but one of the most important things that we can really relate to entrepreneurship is, in fact, this idea of implementation, because it's only when you implement that you will see that that idea is going to turn into something innovative or not. And even when we are talking about innovation, innovation doesn't need to be something completely enormous, let's say. By innovation, if you can see the line of innovation, we can see this idea of the incremental innovation. So we can find baby steps, quick wins, let's say something that will have an increase in something 5%, or something that is so much bigger than that, and then it can disrupt with something. And that is also innovation, and it can be technological, but it doesn't need to be. So this idea of having these 5 I's as a starting point for our conversation, I really think this is quite interesting to put things into perspective. So entrepreneurship, it can be magical, but it's not just about this magic. So it's about creating the right circumstances and gathering a lot of things, not just information, the right people and the right intention to do something with a purpose. And this one thing will, of course, benefit the entrepreneur on one hand, and on the other hand, also, this will have a positive impact in the organization. So this is quite interesting because when this is really well done, we can see that this is a win-win situation. So if you understand that if your employees, if they are okay, if their well-being is okay, the company, it will be okay. When your talent is a sick talent, the results, of course, will not be the best. So it's time for us in companies to pay attention and to understand how we can really promote this process. So this idea of this human-centered design process, humans, we will always need humans. We will always need people. And if you take a look at this image, when we start by inspiration, which is another I, Of course, we start with problems, with triggers, with challenges. But who are those who have the problems? People. And these people might be our clients, might be our colleagues, because we might have an internal problem in our company, and there are needs that we need to satisfy, or there's a certain motivation. But as you can see, this is very evolving, and this is something that brings freshness into the company's eyes. So we really need to start by inspiration, and then we are inspired by something, and when we are triggered by something, we can really move on into this ideation process. And like I was mentioning previously, having the idea, ideation, but better than that, having the implementation. Because if we don't implement the ideas that we have, it's just a plan, it's just something, it doesn't work for real. So we need to test it, we need to implement it. And I'll go back to this in a while. So one other thing that I would like to share with you is this idea of entrepreneurs, if they are born or they are made. Meaning, and the same is completely valid to entrepreneurs also. So when we talk about the entrepreneurial mindset profile, we really need to understand that, of course, entrepreneurs are born, but in the sense that they are born means that they have some personal traits that they are born with. Biologically speaking, it means that some of us have some specific traits that can really benefit us for this entrepreneurial mindset. And this is a scale to measure the entrepreneurial mindset profile. And what these researchers found out is that we can find 7 scales on personality traits, so something more fixed that we are born with. But the entrepreneurial mindset is also related with skills development, which is something positive because it's something that we can really develop and work upon. So entrepreneurs are born in this sense because we have some personality in here in the process, but we can also say that they are made in this sense because we can develop these skills. So that's why it's so important when we are talking about companies and in their attraction process and the recruitment process, we need to understand what is the talent that we are capturing and how can we measure and understand who are these people, how can we measure it so we can work with them and we can develop their skills. So let me give you just some ideas on this because this is really interesting. So this is an assessment that you can do, and by answering in a 1 to 5 scale, meaning that you are very independent or not so independent, we can really understand how are we positioned in this entrepreneurial mindset. So an entrepreneurial mind, let's say, it's someone that really appreciates independence, autonomy. This person likes to work with limited structure. So these employees, they really like to work with autonomy and with just a little bit of structure, not too much. They like to do things their way. So this idea of being rebels, which is something that I will get back in the meantime, they are non-conform. So this idea of non-conformity means that, okay, we understand that we need rules, we need processes, but we also need to question it. We need to understand that maybe we can do it better, cheaper, faster. So questioning things is one of the things that is really related with this entrepreneurial mindset. Also, this risk acceptance, even though the entrepreneurs might not be risk lovers, because if not, they might have their own businesses. The thing is that there are some employees, the more entrepreneurials, they have a bigger risk tolerance. And this is in fact very interesting because even at some point in the process, if I'm allowing myself, or if I am allowed to be more, if I can be a little more risky, I can get better results and different results, because at least I can try, I can experiment to do new things. If I'm not allowed to try and to fail, maybe I will do anything, nothing. So this risk tolerance is something very interesting in this profile. Likewise, this action orientation, and in fact, I'm sure that you all know, if not yourselves, we all know colleagues and peers and people, even our managers, that are really action oriented. So we like to talk, we like this and that, but at the end, it's about action. It's about doing, it's about delivering. And one of the things that is also connected with all of that is this idea of doing things in a passionate way. Because when we do things with our passion, we can really find motivation. We can find a motive to act, motivation, okay? So when we have, and when we find this passion in our work, it can really help us to go faster and to support a lot of things and to be more resilient. And that's why people really stay and invest in their careers, because they really love what they are doing. So linked to this idea of action, we can also see this need to achieve. So the intrapreneurs are achievers. So they like to think, they like to organize, maybe not too much, but in fact, what they really, really enjoy is to achieve. And this achievement linked to the idea of recognition and being recognized. And by saying recognition, I'm not just saying financially speaking, but it can be also something else. So we can also understand this idea of the non-financial motivation and the need to achieve something by doing the things that we are doing. And even this idea of working upon your reputation. So these are fixed traits. So this is much more about personality, okay? So this is what we can be in our personality. The good news is that in this side of the skills, and we call the skills development, these skills, these are things that we can really work upon and specifically and develop. So the entrepreneur, or the corporate entrepreneur in this sense, is someone that is really focused in the future. So being an entrepreneur in a company means that we need to pay attention to the future. We can't be just living in here in the present. We need to always be one step in the front. We need to be visionaries. We need to have a lot of ideas, this idea of idea generation, always thinking and trying to create new approach, new perspectives on the same old topics, perhaps. This is really important. So this ideation and complemented by the execution. So we need both, okay? So it's just not about having the ideas, it's about also being able to execute them. And sometimes not just on our own. One of the things that we will see that is quite important when we work in the corporate world, and might be one of the main differences from the entrepreneurial world, is that we can really find a supportive network from our company, from our leadership, from our managers. And when we have this perception, the organizational support, this can really mean a lot for people in order to be more optimistic, to be more self-confident, because they really understand that they can do a lot of things, and even if they fail, they will get the support. So I hope that this can really make sense for you. So being more, facing the future with optimism, with hope, hoping that the future can really bring us something good, or at least that I'm contributing in a positive way for a better future for business, being persistent, being resilient, and also this idea into a much more wider concept like the emotional intelligence. So they call it this interpersonal sensitivity. Well, we can translate this into a little word that we can call empathy. So being sensible or more sensitive with the people that work with us, not just with our team, but also in the other departments. So how can we really work with people inside our companies, people that are not working in my department, but I can have this sensitivity, this sense of caring with people and showing them that I'm there, here I am for them and they can count on me. So this is one of the things that it's from the 14 scales, the one that presents a major difference from the intrapreneurs with the entrepreneurs is in fact this interpersonal sensitivity, because for the intrapreneurs is quite critical to develop good relationships, develop this social intelligence into the company, because it's all about people. So a company, a culture is made of people. So we really need to understand how we can position ourselves, understand people, be on their side, so we can make them our allies. And I'm bringing this lovely word that Marisa presented us at the beginning of the session. So these are this is a very interesting and important instrument, a cutting edge instrument. We can't find a lot of instruments to measure entrepreneurial mindset profile. I'm also working on something more vocationed to the intrapreneurial mindset. So I hope that we can all have good news in the near future, so we can help organizations to really measure this intrapreneurial behavior, so they can use this instrument as a part of a human resources strategy. So after talking about this entrepreneurial mindset, let me give you in the major, let's say the major qualities of intrapreneurs, and allow me to outline in here this creativity, because if you are not creative, it will be hard for companies. If they don't have creative talent, it will be very hard to be innovative as a company. So we need to find the right people, and this is really a concern. It's not just about finding people, it's finding the right people, the right talent, this idea of the person fit to a specific situation, and also allowing people to craft their job. This is something that is underneath this presentation, this job crafting idea, this possibility or this ability that entrepreneurs can have in order to craft their jobs to have better results. And they can only do that because, in fact, they are special in this sense by having this skills set. So leadership, like we were mentioning, so we really need to understand that we need to manage and lead us, okay, before leading others. And this idea of confidence, being self-confident. I need to build my self-confidence, which is not just related with my character, but is also related with my skills. So being confident is a good way for me to show my work. So it's quite interesting, because one of the components of the self-confidence concept is in fact character on its base, yes, but also results. Because I can't say just, oh, I'm so good. Yes, but why do you say that you are so good? What have you done in the meantime? What are your results? What are the evidences of your good work and of your experience? And we can really learn so much by being eager to learn. So this idea of also learnability, developing this learnability, this eagerness to learn is quite important. So linked with this idea of the growth mindset. So by the opposite, if I'm just a fixed mindset and I say, oh, because this is like me, I will never do this, I can't do that, and this company will never allow me to do that. Okay, but what have you done for that? Have you tried something else? Did you try any different approaches? If we are not flexible in this way, if we don't have this growth mindset, and if we are not lifelong learners, life will be harder in a company. So it's quite interesting to understand that for us as employees, for us to be continuously be relevant in the corporate setting, we need to stay competitive. And by being an entrepreneur, by developing ourselves through this learnability, this is a very smart way, let me say, smart way to do things. Because it's not just about working a lot of hours. In fact, being an entrepreneur, it's about doing a smart work, a work that is based on quality, a work that is based on results, a work that is based on evidences, that is based in fact, something that is based on doing and showing. It's not like, tell me, don't tell me, show me. So we really need to have this more visual approach and results approach. So this individual performance will be a good consequence of being an entrepreneur, and let me reinforce, in the right corporate setting. Because we know, and I don't know the Dutch reality so good, so well, like I know the Portuguese, but in fact, in some Portuguese companies, we know that this conversation about entrepreneurship, this is not even a conversation. It can't be a conversation, because people are there just for doing, for executing, and they are not allowed to think. But when we can really have the, let me call it, the happiness to find a place in which you can use your brains, you can use your heads, your hands, you can use your heart, and you can be yourself at your best, at your full potential. Isn't that great and amazing? So you can really develop your qualities, and by being better, can you imagine, by being this sum of better employees, this sum of full potential, individual potential, can you imagine the power that this can really bring to companies and for the company's performance? So we really need to pay attention to what is happening. Entrepreneurship, it's not a trend. It's not just something that is fashion. It's a must-have, definitely. It's not just nice to have. And while having fun, so let me bring you this idea also of Albert Einstein, this serious man, that in fact, he understood that creativity is a very important part in this process. Like I was mentioning previously, creativity is about creating activities. It's not just about drawing. It's not about, it's really serious. I like to call it a kind of intelligence, like Einstein. Because if we can't be creative, let me tell you again, if we can't be creative, we will not be innovative, and we can't bring innovation into our companies and departments. So this idea of being able to generate ideas is something that is this is food for thoughts, but can you imagine a company that doesn't have ideas or that don't allow their employees to have ideas? Or those kind of companies that only want employees to be in the office, in those rooms, white rooms, no windows, and they want them to be so creative in that empty, blank space. So to generate better ideas, maybe it happened to you already that you might have your best ideas when you are not at the office. You might have your brilliant and your haha moments when you are not working. So we really need to understand that we can allow ourselves to be creative always. So this creative mode on, not just on a 9 to 5 perspective, Monday to Friday. No, we don't know when we will be, let me bring you another eye, when we will be illuminated. So this illumination, it's that moment when we find, oh, got it. So I had a situation in my job, and when I was driving home or when I was taking my my ride at the end of the day, or I was walking by, I had an idea. So this ability to generate ideas, this is something that we can really, that we need to think about it because we need to invest in it. We don't need to think that, okay, I just can have ideas in the office. No, you are allowed to have ideas outside the office. Sometimes, I don't know if it happens to you, but even when we are sleeping, sometimes we wake and, oh, and I remember something, and I write it down immediately in the notebook that I have with me. So we never know when a good idea comes up, and they might be showing up even when you are not in the office. So creativity is about generating these ideas, but even more important, implementing. Because if I'm just thinking and thinking about the ideas and planning and what I could do, and I'm not doing, that is not creativity. Creativity means doing. If not, it's just a dream. It's just, we are just full of intentions and we never do anything. If we are just expecting for the right moment, for the perfect moment, what is a perfect moment? I don't know what is a perfect moment. So do it, test it, implement it. This idea also, sorry, allowing ourselves to be divergent. Diverge, explore a lot of scenarios, and then converge. So this is called this D in design thinking, the 2 thinking styles that are really important for us to develop. Allowing ourselves to diverge, creating this divergent thinking. It's when we generate ideas and when we brainstorm. And sometimes we don't brainstorm enough because we tend always to get focused on something and making a choice. Sometimes in companies, we are forced to make a choice and we don't have the time needed to brainstorm. So now you know that we need to have time for these 2 specific moments. But creativity and imagination, they really need time in this sense, and we need to allow ourselves to be doing that. Because after generating ideas and implementing, or at least having all settled, I need to sell it, right? So one of the most important things when we are talking about intrapreneurship is, so well, how will I sell these ideas to my boss, to the board, to the finance area, which is the same like saying, how will I get the buy-in? I'm going to present you 4 strategies. So reframing, it's one of the most interesting strategies, because sometimes we tend to present and do our pitches by our own lens. So try to reframe it. When you are trying to sell something, try to use the lens of the person who are you talking with. So if it's someone from the human resources, apply your human resources knowledge. If you are talking to someone in the finance area, of course, you need to get a different angle, different words, different motivators for that person. So don't think just from your head, put yourself in the head and in the shoes of the person who are you talking with. And that, by the way, might be your key decision maker. So one of the things that you can really do is to connect to the pain. So we need to understand what is the pain that I'm going to satisfy by doing this, by presenting this project. So why is this important? Why should our companies care about this? Aligning it with priorities. So one of the things for us to make our projects and our ideas relevant is that they need to be aligned with strategic priorities, because if it's not a priority, of course, who cares? Finally, that idea of supporting everything with an evidence, with facts. People like facts. People in companies, they need facts, specifically if it involves a lot of money and a lot of risk. So you can't just get there and say, oh, I have a feeling and I have an intuition. Okay, great, and keep it, but support it also with evidences, because we really need to understand where we are and what will take us by doing the things that we are suggesting to be done. Prototyping, I think this is well known by the most of us. So don't tell me, show me. So it can be a report. It can be like this the storyboard that you are seeing here on the slide. Something that can really can put your idea into a visual way, so people can really understand what you are talking about. So people can get your feedback about your idea. So prototyping is mandatory for you to sell your idea. And not all ideas will achieve success. Some will be lost in translation here in the process, but some of them hopefully will get this evidence for success. Storytelling also. So I need to understand what is the story that I'm going to tell. So what are the secret ingredients for me to use to tell the story to the different stakeholders in the process. And by telling you about the stakeholders, of course, it's important for us to do this internal networking or building relationships. If we say, oh, I'm just there and I'm doing my job and I go, okay, it's an option, of course, but if you are really interested in finding support, finding your network and make it relevant and use your influence, you need to know people. So you can't, the thing is that you can't just ask for favors. You will need to ask for advices. You will need to ask for an opinion for these influencers, for the decision makers. So you need to understand who is who and where and when. So you need to make them your allies. So where are the people that they are really eager to innovate, the people that can really support you in your pioneering projects? The giraffe, where are the scanners? Where are the fast movers? Where are the net weavers? And on the other side, you can also need to understand where are the people that are not so easy to get, and how can you also build some arguments in order to have them with you. So knowing people, finding your allies, and establishing relationships is, of course, mandatory when we are talking about this corporate setting, because you can't do it all alone. You need to find support, and the right support. And the right support is, of course, someone who has the influence, and the money to support you. So in a nutshell, we can say that why do companies need entrepreneurs? So what we have been talking about during the last hours, why do companies with double eyes, I really like eyes, so why do companies need entrepreneurs, or why does the world need entrepreneurs? Well, 5 main ideas for you. So this way we can have this perennial pool of ideas, always generating ideas, always, and it's not just when we get into the bottom line. No, we are always generating ideas, so we can always be here on the surface. And it made me think about this mantra, let's say, to innovate or die, because at some point in the process, if you are not innovating, someone else is going to do that. And maybe your company or yourself will stop to be relevant by doing what it's doing. So this idea also of growing, facilitating growing, because we need to catch the next wave, we need to be integrating leaps. And it's not just, no, it's not a leap of faith, it's a leap of trust, in the a leap of knowledge, with a leap of confidence. By doing, you know that you need to do that because you have all the evidences to support your projects and your ideas. So this in this idea of the life cycle, we know that we can't grow eternally, let's say, but we can always be integrating some leaps to make us continue into this entrepreneurial journey, because this is in fact a journey, and this is a work in progress. So when by doing this and by using commas, the employees, the more entrepreneurial, all the structure, the management, having a good leadership, a supportive leadership, making resources available for people, finding the time for them to do this, and having, as an organization, having this organizational culture mindset that is really aligned with what we have mentioned. So we really need to understand, as you can see, this environment, the atmosphere, it needs to be a social atmosphere, a physical atmosphere, a mental atmosphere that can help people doing things and being creative in the sense of using their talents. They know that they have the talent and they can use it whenever it's needed in the process. So like innovation, like I was mentioning previously, innovation, there are a lot of types of innovation. Here we have the 10 types of innovation that we can really find by combining here a lot of things. Some have more complexity than others, but innovation can be all over if we really want to do that or to use it as a strategy for us. So also using entrepreneurs, we can really understand that we can find a lot of problem solvers. So we will always have problems. We will always have things that we'll be struggling with. So we need to find the people to solve the problems. So we need to understand that there's the problem space and there's the solution space. So we don't need more problems. We don't need problem makers. We need problem solvers in the organizations. And that's where we can find the entrepreneurs in this solution space. And I was promising you that we will talk about the rebels. So when we talk about entrepreneurs, sometimes they are really translated, the word is sometimes translated by, oh, that rebel, oh, here you are questioning everything and trying to change the rules. And yes, because it's important, and it's not about breaking the rules. Maybe it's just more finding more adaptable rules, or changing the rules to better rules that will allow us to go faster, to continuously move on, and that we can make us create and pursue and exploit opportunities. And by that, sometimes it's just doing things like listen more to our people, being observative, connecting. We can find so many material for us to work into companies. So this rebelness, let's call it this corporate rebelness, I strongly believe that this is very interesting in order to keep companies, innovative companies, in that track. Because it's not just about me, it's about we, and it's about achieving something as a group. So this idea of moving on, sense of achievement, making it happen. At the end of the day, an entrepreneur is someone who does, is someone that makes it happen. So my last message for you, in fact, is this: the world really needs rebels, more rebels. If not you, who? If not now, when? So thank you so much. Hope I could really influence you in this topic, and that you can start at least paying a little more attention on this type of content. Thank you so much, Marisa, Dirk. It was an honor to be here with you today. We can't listen. You are mute.
We have many skills. Technology isn't always one of them. But I'd like to thank you for your webinar. I found it incredibly helpful, incredibly insightful. As somebody who's in entrepreneurship, it's lovely to see the other side of it, which is the intrapreneurship, like you say.
Definitely.
I know that Joanna is with us over here. I'm going to, before we move on to questions, just close this so that I want to thank you for everything that you've given today.
My pleasure.
For everybody who is here, for everybody who wasn't able to make it today, I know there's a few people that couldn't because of time zones. This has been recorded. It will go on to our YouTube channel.
Leave some messages, comments. Yeah, I'll be glad to answer and to share and to connect.
Oh, there's more content. So previous webinars, future webinars, all of it goes onto our YouTube. Please, if there's anything you'd like to see, reach out to us. If there's a topic you want to hear explored, if you'd like to give a webinar, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to work with you on anything of this sort. But thank you very much, Rita. I'm going to close the webinar now, and then we can move on to some live questions.
Okay, thank you so much.